Welcome to Surviving Schizophrenia with Steven. My name is Steven. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Today, I'm here with my dad.
I'm Steve, Steven's dad.
And let's talk about SSI, SSDI, and Medicare, and how it's possible that in just a few short months, after I turn 24 in September, that I will be rolling on to Medicare myself.
So with Steven, we have successfully navigated SSI, which is Supplemental Security Income, that's needs-based Social Security program, and SSDI, which is Social Security Disability Insurance, which is an earned benefit. And we have successfully navigated these programs, and we want to explain to you today how we have been successful in navigating these complex programs. So we're talking about SSI, as Steven said, SSDI, which he's currently on, the DAC benefit, which is the Disabled Adult Child Benefit, which enables one to obtain SSDI based upon the earnings record of their parent. This is a benefit that allows the disabled person, adult, to have SSDI and then the insurance benefit, the health insurance benefit, which would be Medicare, prior to age 65. So it's a very valuable benefit. It's not well understood. No. And this, of course, is very in a complex area. So we want to go through it, carefully with you today and explain, Steven's successful history in navigating these programs. I would like to state I am an attorney. I'm an appellate lawyer. I'm not a disability rights lawyer. So we're not giving legal advice here. We're simply giving general information about these programs, these two Social Security programs in the United States, and how we have successfully navigated these programs since Steven was 12 years of age when he fell ill. Now, Steven's 23 right now, and as he said, in September he'll be turning 24, and he will be rolling on to Medicare, believe it or not, at age 24, having never worked in his life other than having recently, monetized his YouTube channel.
Yep.
We'll talk about that, and then we'll also talk about what happens now that Steven has monetized his YouTube channel and is earning money under his Social Security number that's being reported right to the IRS and to the Social Security Administration, and how those earnings might impact his future SSDI benefit, and whether, and how Steven feels about that, and whether the goal here is to get off of, any government benefits.
That's for sure. If I don't need these benefits, I don't want to be receiving them. And ideally, I'd be making my own income so I could be self-sufficient myself instead of relying on the government, which has been very important for me to rely on the government. But now that I'm starting to be able to do YouTube, it's possible maybe relatively soon I won't need to rely on the government and I'll be more self-sufficient myself.
That's right. So, Steven, so let's talk about the two different Social Security disability programs. There are many programs out there, so that we're not limiting. We're talking about these two. It's SSI and SSDI, but there are other programs, and we won't go into those. We haven't availed ourselves of those programs. There's housing programs for disability and a number of other programs, a lot of programs. So let's talk about when you fell ill, Steven, at age 12. Yes. Hospitalized at UCLA Resnick Neuropsychiatric Hospital for 2 weeks.
Yes.
And can you talk just a little bit about when you fell ill?
Yeah, so I fell pretty quick. This all happened, I think, pretty quick.
Within a few months.
Yeah. It started with headaches that led to, debilitating headaches that led on to psychosis. And the short version is I was really unwell for a while. Was admitted to the hospital for 2 weeks at the Resnick Neuropsychiatric Hospital in UCLA. Discharged with schizophreniform disorder, which later became full-on schizophrenia. And
yeah. So during this time, Steven's our only child, 12 years old at the time.
Yeah.
And we didn't apply for SSI. He was a juvenile. And since Steven was a juvenile and living with us, our income would be attributable to him under Social Security's rules.
Yeah.
So he would not qualify for SSI, which is Supplemental Security Income. Yeah. And that's a needs-based program with strict, income and asset requirements.
Yeah.
And I don't know the exact requirements, but I think that you can't have assets of more than $2,000, other than maybe a vehicle that you can own.
Right.
I believe you can even own a home,
Yes.
but you can't have assets at any given time that exceeds $2,000. Let's bank accounts or any other assets, and there's very strict income limitations that would disqualify one from SSI. Mm-hmm. So since our income was attributable to Stephen, since he was a minor in our care, we didn't even apply for SSI. So the first time we applied for SSI, Stephen did, was when he turned 18.
Because then I was no longer under my parents.
Right. Stephen was...
monetary. How would you put it?
Well, when Stephen turned 18, he became a legal adult, and under Social Security's rules, our income then as his parents, even though he was living with us, would not be attributable to him.
That's what I was trying to say.
Right. So he, at that point, you had no income.
No.
Were you working?
Nope. Never worked before or then.
Right. So wasn't working and didn't have any assets either.
No.
And so would qualify for SSI. Yeah. Would meet the means test. So we assisted Stephen in applying for SSI. The application process is very lengthy. It is. Right. There's an application that the applicant fills out, multi-page application. There's another part of the application that healthcare providers have to fill out. There's another part of the application that parents or care providers have to fill out. And then there's even another part where maybe therapists would have to fill out, or school teachers, and what have you. So we assisted Stephen in filling out the paperwork to apply for SSI when he turned 18. Do you remember that, Stephen?
I do not remember it. I was sure, I guess that was like 6 years later from when I fell ill. But at the time, I was still pretty ill. I was not doing well. I don't remember almost any at all, of filling out any papers or having... I don't have much recollection of you guys filling out the papers either. The most recollection I have is when we went down to the Social Security Administration office. And I'm not entirely sure why we were there. Can you remind me of that?
Yes, Stephen. So we filled out the application, reviewed it with Stephen. Stephen signed the application because there was no conservatorship for Stephen.
No.
So he had his own legal rights intact. Those weren't taken from him by any means legally. So we reviewed the application, as support people, as parents with him. He signed the application. It was submitted to the Social Security office. And so when that application, that SSI application, gets submitted, there are two divisions within Social Security that look at this. The one part is the office that looks at the needs element, whether you qualify based upon income and assets, because there's the income and asset requirement. Then there's another department within the Social Security Administration that looks at whether you are disabled. So the disability determination in Stephen's case was made by the Social Security office in Glendale, California.
That's right.
The needs-based portion of the application was considered at the Torrance, California Social Security office. And the reason why I think they split these duties up, you've got to meet both the needs-based and the disability-based elements to get SSI. I think the reason why they divide this up is to avoid any collusion between the Social Security offices and separate that out. Right. Because there's going to be a payment of money here on a monthly basis if one qualifies, and then if one qualifies, you'll get Medicaid, which in California is Medi-Cal. So there's health insurance benefits that you'll also get. So there's a monetary payment and there's a health insurance payment. So these are very valuable
yes, they are.
benefits to receive. So strict requirements. So coming back, we went to I took Stephen down to the Torrance Social Security office in Torrance, California for the needs-based review.
And all I really remember of that visit was sitting in the chair, feeling incredibly stressed out, staring at the clock, watching it tick, waiting to leave. And then I do remember, I guess I shook the lady's hand there before I left. That's all I remember. It was too stressful for me at the time.
Right. So what was happening behind the scenes here is that when we met, when I took Stephen to the Torrance office for the needs-based interview for SSI when he turned 18, unbeknownst to us at the time, the Glendale office had already medically qualified him as disabled based upon just a voluminous number of documents we had submitted along with his application showing that over the prior 6 years he had significant limitations in his ability and had been diagnosed with schizophrenia. So we didn't know that medical determination was made within about, I think, 10 or 15 days of the application, so it was a very fast process. Social Security Administration did not hire a doctor to see Stephen. Sometimes they'll do that, have their own doctor see the person, but they didn't feel that was necessary. So we're then at the Torrance office, and it turns out that he was already approved. They didn't tell us at the time because they tell you once you get fully approved. So at the Torrance office, we gave them my information as his father, Stephen's information, and his bank account information. He did have a small savings account.
Yes, I did. And then I had, I forget what the bank was called, Parishioners
Federal Credit Union.
I had that since I was a kid. I think I had like $100 in there.
Right. So we navigated that. We navigated that SSI process very successfully and very quickly.
Yeah.
And we did have the documentation.
Yes.
So when Stephen turned 18, he very quickly went on to qualified for SSI, which gave him a monthly payment from the government. And also in California, when you qualify for SSI, you automatically qualify for Medicaid. Now in California, Medicaid is called Medi-Cal.
Yeah.
And Medi-Cal, if you have SSI, it's an automatic qualification. So he immediately got Medi-Cal. Now Medi-Cal it's insurance for either low income or disabled, and not all doctors take Medi-Cal insurance. And there are a lot of different Medi-Cal insurances. The whole Medi-Cal program is extremely complex. So we're just giving it an overview of what's happened to Stephen. So he qualified for Medi-Cal, and what the program within Medi-Cal that he qualified was full scope Medi-Cal, which was no deductibles, no copays, no out-of-pockets. But the doctors are limited. Not all the doctors will take adult Medi-Cal. I think in California, the doctors and hospitals have to take Medi-Cal if you're a juvenile. But that wasn't Stephen's situation. No. He qualified for Medi-Cal when he turned 18, and so during the next few years, we paid his psychiatrist directly because his psychiatrist didn't take Medi-Cal, so there was some out-of-pocket costs. So at age 18, Stephen was on SSI and on full scope Medi-Cal, which was the health insurance program that is provided for SSI recipients. And Stephen remained on that until he was 22 years of age.
Yeah.
When Stephen turned 22, he rolled on to SSDI. There was a whole nother application process. Mm-hmm. And that he qualified, even though he had never worked in his life, he qualified for SSDI based upon the earning records of his parents, me and Maria.
Yeah.
And that is called the DAC benefit. That's the Disabled Adult Child Benefit. To qualify for that benefit, which Stephen qualified for, you have to become disabled before 22 years of age. You have to be over 18 years of age, and you have to be disabled. There are another number of other different requirements, but that's in sum and substance the requirement. So over age 18 and become disabled before age 22. So that was Stephen, right? Over age 18, he had become disabled before age 22. We applied when he reached age 22 because the other requirement is one of the parents has to be receiving retirement benefits. So basically either has to take early retirement or themselves has to be disabled or has to be deceased. So in those cases, in that case, the adult child, in this case Stephen, even though he had never worked, can receive an SSDI benefit based upon the earnings record of the parent. And it's a significant benefit. The benefit gives two things. One, it gives the person 50% of the primary insurance amount monthly payment of the parent. And there's no reduction in what the parent would receive on Social Security either. So 50% while the parent is living of the parent's PIA, primary insurance amount, and 75% of the parent's PIA when the parent is deceased or dies. And the other very valuable benefit, and really the reason why we did this for Stephen, was you get Medicare. You qualify for Medicare after a 24-month wait period. Yeah. So the 24-month wait period for Stephen, well, let me step back. We applied for Stephen for SSDI based upon the earning record of the parent when Stephen turned 22. And that was a whole nother application process. It wasn't automatic. Had to reapply, had to be medically approved again, and went through that process. It didn't required a phone interview. I don't know if you remember that, Stephen.
I don't even remember that.
So no. Stephen doesn't remember that. These things it's really technical, but Stephen participated in a short phone interview. I did most of the interview process as parent and care provider for Stephen. But again, Stephen we filled out the application, Stephen reviewed it, signed the application. And so the thing about SSDI is it's not needs-based, right? It's an insurance benefit based upon either the earning record of the worker, or in this case, the earning records of the parent. And because it's not needs-based, there's no asset limitation. So this means that Stephen can have as many assets without impacting the payment that he receives, the government payment, because the government payment, SSDI, is an insurance earned benefit. Mm-hmm. It's considered an earned benefit. So that is significant. And the Medicare benefit is very valuable. Medicare in the United States, it's typically it's the insurance program for people that are 65 and older in the United States, and also disabled prior to 65. So the DAC benefit that Stephen is receiving, I think that's a very not well understood. So again, it would apply in a situation if you have a loved one or know of someone that has a disability, and say they're even 40 years of age, they might qualify for the DAC benefit, which is a SSDI benefit based upon their parents' earning record. That could be a very significant dollar figure, and it's not needs-based, so they can have other income and assets and not have that and not be impacted by that. And again, that person that is, say, 40 years old and disabled, they would qualify for the DAC benefit and could apply even at age 40 for the first time, as long as they can establish that their disability, they became disabled before 22 years of age, and has a parent that is either receiving Social Security benefits or is deceased and would have otherwise received Social Security benefits, and that they have been disabled since age 22. There's some other requirements. There's a very technical issues here. You can lose this DAC benefit very easily if you've worked prior to the age of 22. So if you've worked prior to your application. So if you're able to work, and so what Social Security considers work is what's called SGA, the substantial gainful activity, and it's just a dollar amount. So in other words, Social Security regulations define disability as the inability to engage in substantial gainful activity, SGA, due to a medical impairment, which can be a physical or mental impairment that lasts for a period of at least 12 months, continuous 12-month period. So that's how Social Security regulations define a disability. Yeah. It's based upon the length of an inability to engage in substantial gainful activity, SGA. Yeah. There's a dollar amount every year that gets indexed to inflation. I think this year it's about $1,500 in 2023 a month, which would be SGA. So Stephen, now you've been on SSDI now for almost 2 years,
Yes.
and you get, there's a payment that comes in, a monthly payment, and but Steve is not yet on Medicare, right? There was that 24-month wait period. That
Should be about this December, I believe.
Yes, that'll be up in this December.
Yeah.
This December will be about the 24-month period, and he'll roll on to Medicare. So right now he has Medi-Cal, and there's a provision in the law in this type of situation where the person goes from SSI to SSDI, but is still disabled. Medi-Cal, which in California is the Medicaid version of, it's the California version of Medicaid. It's called Medi-Cal in California. So Stephen has maintained his Medi-Cal eligibility. There's a provision in the law that allows that.
Yeah.
What Medi-Cal basically, the rules basically provide is that they don't consider the SSDI monthly payment as income.
Yeah.
So they disregard that. And so Stephen still has Medi-Cal, but he has to then meet, that's for the health insurance aspect, he has to meet the needs-based requirements. So he still has to have assets of under $2,000,
Yeah.
and he can't make over approximately about $1,000 a month. So with the YouTube channel and Stephen making money on revenue coming through the YouTube channel,
Yes.
how is that going to impact Stephen moving forward?
Yeah, so I think overall it's good.
Yes.
It is possible that if I start making essentially too much money, I will lose those benefits.
Right. So this is a big concern for parents and care providers. Their loved one is receiving either SSI or SSDI, and if they start working, there's a concern that you might lose those benefits.
Which, in my case, if I can continue working beyond this and actually make a living off YouTube, that's good. The issue is if for some reason I can't, but I've already lost my benefits, then what? It's not good.
Right. So we've looked into this. It turns out that it's not easy to lose the benefits. Actually, once you're on SSDI, which Stephen is on, there's the rules are fairly complex, so I don't want to go through them right here. But you can earn quite a bit of money for the first in a 9-month period without losing benefits. It's called a ticket to work program, and there's no application process for this program. It's just built into SSDI's rules, and you simply have to report to Social Security the income you're making on a monthly basis, and as long as it's below a certain amount, which I think right now is about $1,000 or $950 a month, then you're not impacted at all. If you start making over that on a monthly basis, then you're not impacted for a period of 9 months because Social Security Administration wants you to get back to work, right?
Yes.
And to get off the government benefit, and that makes sense. But they don't want you to flip-flop back and forth, and they understand that it may take some time. So there's actually a 9-month period where you can make over this amount, which I think right now is about $1,000. It goes up every year. I think it's actually $950. You can make over that and not be impacted at all. And then if you do make over that, then there's another 3-year period where there's another set of rules that apply, that if you fall back and are not able to continue your employment or self-employment, then you can recover and still be on SSDI and receive benefits. So it's a concern, but the hope for us is that Stephen will be self-sufficient and self-reliant.
That's something that I really want to. I don't like the idea of having to rely on the government for money, though it's helped a lot. If I can work, which would be through this YouTube channel, I will.
Right.
So simple as that, I guess.
Yeah, and you never know in the future, Stephen, where in even addition to the YouTube channel, where your recovery from your illness will take you.
That's true.
The hope is that we'll just see how that goes.
But for now, it's YouTube.
Right, exactly.
In the future, sure, it could be something else too. I have no idea. 3 years ago, I had no clue I'd be doing YouTube. 2 years ago, I had the idea, really. So it's amazing how fast things are changing for me and evolving. And sure, there could definitely be something in the future that I could do as a job potentially, as well as YouTube. Who knows?
Yes, absolutely. And I think as far as one's self-worth.
Yeah, being self-sufficient would definitely improve my self-worth.
Right.
And pride and that kind of thing.
Right. So so with the YouTube, Stephen is in business, right? With the YouTube channel, Surviving Schizophrenia with Stephen. It's quite amazing. Stephen, you're a genius. You're brilliant. I mean, Stephen made a business, if you think about it, out of his illness. I mean,
yeah.
It was, and he has taken himself so far. So it's amazing.
Thank you,
and we're so proud of Stephen for what you've done. And I think it's brought, the channel certainly has brought you so much satisfaction.
Yes, it has.
Yeah.
That it definitely has.
Yeah. So, we in wrapping up, I would say that we mentioned there's no conservatorship for Stephen.
Nope.
There was a little discussion earlier on, but it was never necessary because he fell ill when he was 12. During that period, 12 to 14, when Stephen was in deep psychosis. Yes, we would have otherwise had to have a conservatorship for him, but he was a minor under our care, so we didn't need that at that point. It's only a concern or consideration when the person turns 18.
Yeah.
By the time Stephen turned 18, he was doing substantially better, and no conservatorship. There's the other issue of a special needs trust. Some people have asked about that.
That's right.
We don't have a special needs trust for Stephen. Nope. Special needs trust is a legal mechanism, right? A legal way to have assets that are not going to be taken by the state, and to have assets, substantial assets, and still qualify for government aid, need-based aid. But a special needs trust is a very sophisticated legal document, and Stephen's not receiving, right, SSI. He's not receiving state aid other than Medi-Cal, which he has now. Right. But he's not receiving SSI. He's getting SSDI, which again is an insurance-based program. So again, just in summary, SSI is needs-based. There's very strict income and asset requirements. SSDI, which Stephen's on now, is an insurance-based program, which he's qualified through our earnings record, his parents' earnings record, and that has no asset limitation, right? The only limitation there is that you only receive SSDI if you remain disabled. Yeah. And again, for Social Security purposes, disability is defined as the inability to engage in SGA, substantial gainful activity, which is a dollar amount of about $1,500 a month, due to a medical condition that is likely to last a continuous period of more than 1 year. So that is an overview of how we've navigated the SSI, SSDI programs, the two different Social Security disability programs, and the health care differences between the two programs, right? The SSI has the Medicaid, which in California is Medi-Cal, and then the SSDI program has Medicare eligibility after a 24-month wait period.
So we hope you enjoyed this video and maybe learned something. And if you did, please leave a like and maybe subscribe. It would help me out in the channel a lot as I work to destigmatize schizophrenia and help those with it. And we both hope you have a very happy and healthy rest of your day. And we hope to see you in the next video. Bye.
We hope to see you in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.